Welcome back to the channel. Donald Trump has just sent National Guard troops into Portland, Oregon. He's calling the city war-ravaged. He's saying that Antifa, terrorists, and left-wing extremists are currently attacking ICE facilities and that the city has run amok and is out of control. But here's the thing, Portland is not actually a war zone. In fact, if you look at the statistics, Portland's crime is lower now than it was during the fiasco of 2020, during all that chaos. So that begs the question, why is Donald Trump doing this? Why now? Because this surely is not about safety. This screams to me more about power. And if you think it's just going to stop at Portland, that's where you're wrong. So here's the basic rundown. 200 Oregon National Guard troops are now being federalized, meaning they no longer are under the governor's control. They're under Trump's orders now. They have been deployed to Portland for 60 days. Trump says this is about protecting federal property and restoring order to the city. But state leaders, the governor, mayors, and even local police officials are saying that this is completely unnecessary. And now they're going as far as to file lawsuits to block it. So why is this? Well, because again, the city is not collapsing. The data shows that violent crime is down. Yes, there are protests around ICE facilities. That is happening, but they're nowhere near the scale that Trump is imagining this to be or describing this to be. So when Trump calls the city war ravaged, that's just not reality. That's just his spin on things. So what is his actual motive? It's politics. I mean, this is classic Donald Trump. He gets to put on a big spectacle, puts on a big show. He sends soldiers into a liberal city, and then he gets to frame it as him saving America from the radical left. And then he broadcasts this out to his supporters who eat it up like candy. And he's building a storyline. America's under siege, and he's the tough guy who gets to defend it. This is about the optics of everything. You get videos and pictures of troops in the streets. It creates headlines. And then it builds a narrative that this country is starting to get dangerous and chaotic, and only a strong man like Donald Trump can hold it together. But it gets more dangerous than just some optics play. I mean, if the president of the United States can federalize troops just like that and send them to any city he wants, even against the will of the local politicians and the local leaders and the state leaders, that's a huge and massive power grab. I wouldn't want any president to be doing that, left or right. This is not how the system is supposed to work in this country. Local governments are supposed to control their own law enforcement. And then if you break that norm, like every president is going to inherit that power. All you have to do is claim there's a threat, and whether it's real or exaggerated, the troops just get to roll in like that. So this is how you move from a democracy into something that's more of occupation. And it doesn't happen overnight just like that. It happens like this, one city at a time. And Trump's been doing this. He had troops in D.C. He's had troops in L.A. for other ICE protests. He's had troops in Chicago. He's talked about bringing troops to other cities. So, like I said, that borders on occupation. When you do it one city at a time under the excuse of law and order, you start to move into some dangerous territory. And what's very ironic about this, and we've seen this over the course of our history, that when you bring in troops like this, the National Guard, it always seems to end up creating more chaos than you claim to be stopping in the first place. People see soldiers in the street and they react, and you know what, rightfully so. That's how protests start to escalate. That's when confrontations happen. And then the government points at that unrest and they say, see, we told you this was a war zone. And it creates some self-fulfilling prophecy. If you manufacture the crisis, you can use it to grab more power. Wash, rinse, repeat. So depending on what your social media feeds look like, you might be hearing that Portland is the next coming of Aleppo. It's the city's toppling down. That's not the case at all. And if you treat it like that's the case, if you start putting troops in American cities for political power and theater hour, you eventually will get the war zone that you pretended was there in the first place. And I think that should worry a lot of people. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, or if you just want to drink your coffee without freaking Humvees rolling by. We'll still continue to monitor the Charlie Kirk assassination case, but this was a developing story I felt was necessary to get my thoughts on. If you like breakdowns like this without the corporate spin, without any political affiliation attached, most importantly, without any bullshit, hit subscribe, drop a comment, share the video, and I'll keep you up to date on the latest news that's happening.